The Illinois Agility Test, whilst one of the shorter tests in your selection, also one of the toughest. In my experience, this is where most people got caught out on the physical entrance day. Not just because it's a hard test, but also a couple of rules they may or may not have known about. For example, on my test day, it was if you hit one of the markers, it doesn't count, you need to do it again, but also you only get 2 shots. So I remember there was one guy he was super fit. He was actually a personal trainer, and yet he hit the markers on 2 attempts, so he was scrubbed. So yeah, it can be that quick. So I've got a short demonstration here of how you can set this up. You can see here I'm just laying out the rough pattern first before I get the measuring tape out and set it up in accordance with the diagrams. Now if you haven't already got one of those, I have got one attached below the video. However, I recommend using the diagram that you're provided if you do have one with your test kit. So once I've measured everything out, I've got the cones just right, I'm all ready to set this up. Now I do recommend practicing this not just for the benefit of improving your times, but again, like a lot of the tests, just by doing this once or twice, you'll be that much more comfortable on the day that you'll naturally score a faster time and of course pass the actual test. And again, while I'm setting up here, the other thing to consider is make sure you have good footwear. Again, I'm practicing this on bitumen today, but it's likely on your test day you may be doing this on an indoor court, which is likely to be slippery. If someone's dropped a few beads of sweat, just because you don't sweat, doesn't mean that the person before you doesn't sweat. You might have some sweaty marks from where the person before you was lying down, and of course that's quite near where you're going to be pivoting during the test. Now there's 2 things I want to bring up technique-wise today. The first one is how you start the test. No, I don't mean lying down, obviously you probably knew that. I mean how you get up. So, and then after that we're going to talk about turning. So let's first have a look here at a couple of ways that you can get up. I know this might sound really basic, but this is in fact where it's the easiest point to make up your time, because it doesn't matter how fast you can run. If you can get up quicker, then you shave a couple of seconds off your time right from the get-go. So you can see here in the demonstration I'm showing you that you can get up just, as you would normally get up. There's no real technique about it. However, if you look at this second point here, what I'm showing you is basically a 2-step get up. One which is at the same time you bring both your arms into the push-up position and you bring your right or left leg, up to you. In my case the right leg, I cock that up to the side, and then in one motion I'm pushing up off the ground, and then you'll see I'm already in a sprinter's start position to launch into the test from there. So it's just a 2-stage get up and I'm off into the test. From there, the second point is the turns. The transition to that is how you actually accelerate, because this is a test of acceleration. You're most of the time during this test still accelerating when you get to each turn. And the best way to do that is more short, rapid steps than trying to make long strides. Long strides is also going to slow you down your turns by giving you a wider turn. So looking at the turns now, you can see here on this, it's a little bit hard to tell with a close-up view, but as I get further away, you'll see that I'm crouching down quite low as I go around the cone. I'm almost reaching down to touch it. Of course, I'm not going to touch the cone, just in case that's one of the rules that gets me disqualified. But I'm getting quite low to the ground. It really helps me have a tighter turning circle as I turn. You'll see in the second demo, if you can, that if I do this when I'm standing up, although this is slower because I already run one demo, it is genuinely a slower way to turn because your center of gravity is that much higher. It's harder to control yourself as you go through the turn. So that's my three points really, I should say: the get up, the acceleration, and keeping low in the turns. And I'm going to add one more in for you, which is to make sure you run through the finish line. So it's not a race to the end, it's to finish your time as you cross. And again, as I said, you're always accelerating. You still want to be accelerating as you cross that line to really shave those few milliseconds off your time. A, you can pass the test, but secondly, if you are ranked against the other applicants, just those few milliseconds really can push you up higher and higher in the selection pool. Now, it's been a few years since I had to do this for my own selection, but I'm still going to give you a demonstration here. We'll see how I go. As you can see, you probably get quite knackered doing that, which is why in the training programs I provide, I recommend you do this towards the end of your session. One, if you've already done the beep test, you're simulating the fatigue you're going to have when you do this test. And secondly, you're going to be well warmed up by doing the beep test, maybe even some other drills to warm up your ankles and your knees, because as you can see when I run it, it's very high impact, very demanding on your knee joints and your ankles as well.